Hello YouTubers, this is Ella here. Now, this is a new series. Now, my last series wasn't quite complete because I didn't do my figures nor my cards, but it will take far too long. So, maybe when I get 50 subscribers or 30, I'll do them. Maybe my figurines will come in maybe later or something. But let's get started with this new series. Now, this is an audio. So, well, it's meant to be an audio. It's got a little video, so it's pretty cool. It's mainly an audio though. So, you might as well just put your earphones in. Close up your screen thing. Oh god. Like so. And listen. Ooh. Now, audio 1. It's called The Secret of the Empty Cavern. This morning, I just started to go out. I picked up all my Pokeballs, and of course my rucksack, and all of the things I need for my journey. And I was looking at my town map thinking, well, I've got 4 gym badges, my Pokemon are in top shape, they're probably a bit OP. We battled yesterday with all our hearts and desire. And my Pokemon may be a bit tired to battle again today. So maybe we'll go out on a little adventure. Now, he opened up his town map and he started scanning the places, ticking off the places which he'd already been to. He also looked there again, thinking about a strange and mysterious place he's never been to before. Then he spotted something very strange. In between 2 roads was a gap. He then turned on his phone and started Googling his town map. And there was a gap. Again. It must have been a mistake, he thought. So he went and had a look at another map of the whole world. He zoomed into the place where he wanted to go, but there was a gap. How strange, he thought to himself. And he rang his friend up, and they checked their map, took a picture of it and sent it to him. In between the 2 roads was a gap. But in his friend's town map was what the Professor Oak had made himself and used as a child. And it said, unknown. Danger. And of course I was very excited, so I picked up my cap, put it on my head, chucked my rucksack on the sides of my shoulders, and I ran as fast as I could to get to this road. On the way there, it was very strange. Everywhere was like a desert, no man's land. There was the odd 1 or 2 cactus. No water at all. Luckily, he had one of his trusty water types with him. Blastoise. Blastoise is what his brother gave to him when he was just a little boy. He gave him a Wurturtle to protect him. And obviously, his Wurturtle had grown quite a lot, saying it was his strongest member of his party. So his And so his Blastoise kept him hydrated. Soon, at the end of the road, was a big blockage way. Piles upon piles of rock were blocking the way. But the strange thing was, it said the word danger, but it wasn't painted on. It was made out of blood. Blood was smothered all over that rock. And there was the one or two bones, but they didn't look like they'd been there for long. They looked like they'd been there quite recently. Maybe in the last year, month, week, day, hour. He went and plucked this bone off. You could see all the blood drool down it. And in fact, here is the bone. The bone looked like it had been teared out. Not of a Pokemon, nor a human, but in fact, looked like been torn out of its cell. You could tell on this, on how there was scratch marks on each of the blood stains. The trainer shook his head and sent out one of his Pokemon. Out jumped his Krokorok, which he'd named. Crunch. Crunch, use Shadow Ball now, he ordered. Crunch didn't need to be told twice and launched a Shadow Ball right at the stones. They all crumbled up at its impact of the Shadow Ball. The trainer gladly walked through the rocks, not noticing that what he was walking into was the most dangerous and most foolish idea the trainer would have ever made in his entire life. When he walked in, all he could hear was and he moved closer to the sound, very curious. He was very scared. It was very, very dark. He couldn't see a thing moving left and right, forwards and backwards, hitting a rock, and maybe even scraping against a very sharp object. And sometimes he got thrown side to side, left and right. But he didn't know what was controlling him. He was very wary now. So he clutched his Pokeball in his hand. "I'm not afraid," he said, holding one of his strongest Pokeballs close to his chest. He had raised it ever since he found the egg on his beach. He was very scared, and he hardly ever used this Pokemon. But he might have to. The whole place lit up, almost like a battlefield. Soon there was a rumbling and a growling noise. You could hear. The trainer held his Pokeball even tighter. Sweat went down his face. He trembled. And the thing got closer. He felt very scared, but very anxious too. He was going to make a run for it. But the ending was blocked. He was trapped in with this monster. The monster got closer. He gulped. The monster turned to him and glared at him with his red eyes and said, "You enter my territory, and you shall end like the rest." The monster then started to squeeze down with his hands, and blood dripped down. He then smothered it together with his hands, crushing it down, made a very, very, very smooth ball. He then chucked it up and down, and then chucked it right into his mouth. He chewed it with his teeth and grind it until he then took it out. And he spat out a bone. He then chucked it at the trainer. The trainer held the Pokeball, shaking. The monster glared at him. "You think that I am scared of a puny Pokemon? Oh, are you going to try and capture me? If you do, the world shall feel my terror." The trainer was quite scared and jabbed the Pokeball's button. He jabbed the button. The Pokeball burst open. And out came Groudon. The Pokemon's eyes were flashed of fire. But the monster was not petrified. In fact, just launched a treat at the Groudon. The Groudon caught it and started chewing it. And the Groudon turned out to be more of a dog. It ignored its trainer's command and started to do anything for those treats. It loved them so much. The trainer was now defenceless. Soon, the boy was surrounded by a very, very friendly Groudon, which would do anything for a treat, and a beast with such a temper. The boy jerked, started to move back, very scared. Tried to return the Groudon. The Groudon jumped right into the ball. The boy put the ball in his mouth and started choking on it. The beast lowered its head and then made a growling noise. It then transformed into a Zoroark and said, "You shall not kill. You shall not kill Pokemon. You shall not torture them and use them as slaves, or you shall suffer the same way." The Zoroark ate the boy, only to spit out another bone and wrote in blood on the sign saying, "Danger." Thank you for watching. that's the end of that story. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all from me.